Hi guys, so this is the second honest update that I've done, and I feel like I'm going to start doing this probably once every few months or maybe once every month, just whenever I have something to update you guys on. And it's just gonna be me talking, and I am gonna do a trade recap on this. So I'm gonna do a trade recap on Tuesday and Wednesday. I had two losses, one on each day, so I'll go through that, and then I will go through how I sort of dealt with those. The agenda for this video is just I'm going to talk about what I was doing in terms of my accounts, what went wrong, what I'm going to do, my trade recap, and then I'll go through my next big change that I'm going to do, which is the reason why I'm doing this update, because this whole channel, it was meant to be something where I'm sort of like documenting myself, but I feel like it kind of turned into, it felt like I became sort of like I'm teaching something instead of me documenting my journey. So this video is going to bring back that documenting kind of style. Right now, I definitely wouldn't consider myself profitable yet, and you guys might see a lot of my wins, and you guys might see a lot of my knowledge in terms of my analysis, and I have improved in terms of my analysis, in terms of being able to spot the market, and in terms of understanding my strategy. To be honest, at the start of the year in February, I was still a bit confused. I still didn't fully understand how to use my strategy, and so that's why I sort of just kept pushing through and kept trying to figure out exactly what my strategy is. And I think right now I'm at this point where I actually understand my strategy. Not to say that every single time I win, but just that I actually understand my strategy. I feel like the technical side is done to the point where I can become profitable. Now the next part that I need to work on is just my psychology, and it's not that I haven't been working on my psychology, but I kind of put that a bit more to the side, because what I was doing was I had this small account that I started since around September last year. It's been around 9 months, I think, since I started that account, and it was a $500 account. So $500 is obviously not going to make or break my financial situation. So it was an amount where it's still real money, but it's not money that I really care that much about. The point of that was just to get to some sort of profitability so that I can start scaling my account. My initial thought process was, if I can be profitable on a small account, then what's stopping me from being profitable on a big account? But what was wrong was that in terms of psychology, that small account was just so small to the point where each of my trades I was only making $10 if I win, and only losing around $3 if I lose. It sort of gave me that mindset of like, it is okay to lose, and I don't really care that much about winning as well. And because I want to progress really fast from this stage, it made it become like I really want to win each time, just because I want to progress. And my brain started correlating winning with progress and winning with profitability. Every time I lose, sometimes I would just re-enter trades, and sometimes it would just create sort of bad habits because it was just such a small amount that I was losing. So yeah, what I was doing right was that I was solidifying my strategy. So in terms of that, I did accomplish that. What I wish I would have worked more on was just the psychology part, but definitely what went wrong was just, instead of focusing on building good habits, and instead of focusing on having this probability kind of mindset and looking at losses as just a statistic, I started to just be more focused on wins, because I wanted to make myself go faster, as I was talking about before. So basically what I'm going to do now is just focus more on my psychology, focusing more on self-sabotage, and definitely looking at my beliefs about money and working through that, because definitely I feel like there is a level of self-sabotage in this if you are in this trading game. Because if you have deep-rooted beliefs about money, you think that money is evil, or you think that, you know, all these beliefs that you have since you were a kid, they definitely do play into your psychology. So I'm not gonna rush it. And I think one of the beliefs that I've had since I was a child was just that whenever you want to get something, you always have to work really, really hard towards it. And while that is true in most cases, it sort of made it so that I don't like to get a reward without working hard towards it. And I think sometimes it is okay to get those rewards without putting yourself through hell, if you get what I mean. Because of that mindset of I have to go through a lot to get a lot, I think that's what's pushing me to prolong this process of becoming profitable, because I know that once I become profitable, it's only a matter of time when I scale things up and when my income really increases, right? So when the reward is really big, I feel like I have to suffer a lot to get to that. And part of that is just working through that, because I don't really need to suffer. It's not that I'm not working hard, it's just you can work hard without suffering. I think that's the thing. So I think my mindset was sort of more about you have to suffer to get what you want. But I think that shouldn't be the correct mindset. It should just be you have to work hard to get what you want. And working hard doesn't always have to be suffering. Because when I was younger, it was always about studying. And studying was not suffering for me, but it was just probably not something that I would prefer to do, like most of us. So, and this trading thing is something that I do kind of prefer to do. So it's not something that I have to suffer through. And because I'm not suffering, it makes me feel like, am I doing something wrong? I think my brain sort of is pushing me to suffer, or is pushing me to go through some sort of pain to get that reward. But I have to remind myself that it doesn't have to be painful. It just has to be, you just have to put in the work, and putting in the work doesn't have to be painful. Okay, so let's go through the trade recaps. On Tuesday and Wednesday, this is the Tuesday trade, and this is the Wednesday trade right there. So let's go on the daily. Previously we were going down here, but we retraced here, and instead of breaking through this low and continuing down, up, and instead of pushing down, we didn't get this break here, and so this retracement didn't actually create this push down. It just did that. So that makes this a weak high, right? Because this high didn't create a new low. So that's why I was kind of bullish. And what's more is that this is also an SMT. This is also an SMT, so GU actually went down. So with that, I was pretty bullish. And this is the Monday candle. So this is a fair value gap right here. We have this daily fair value gap right here. We can just do that. We can just go down, up, down, retrace into this daily fair value gap, and just go down and push through this low. But instead, we pushed past this high and closed above this, not past this high, but pushed past this fair value gap and closed above the fair value gap, which is why I was bullish, and I was waiting for this to get taken out. What was a bit off about this week was just that we didn't really have much high impact news, which is why price was kind of like, if you guys can see, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it was kind of just like ranging, something that I have to take into consideration as well. But yeah, so we had this SMT, we have this weekly fair value gap as well. As you guys can see here, we have a weekly fair value gap, so that's why I was more bullish. Now going on to the 4 hour, after this SMT, we pushed past on Monday. I couldn't get an entry at all on Monday, so I was looking at the charts, but I didn't get an entry at all. I was bullish as well on Monday after this SMT, but we had really strong volume on Monday, but there was no high impact news as well. It was no like CPI or anything. It was just a normal Monday, and it just pushed past all the way here, closed above this high on the 4 hour. So we got this SMT, we got this push past, and so I'm going to target this as my next buy side liquidity, right? And this as my next drawn liquidity in this weekly fair value gap. We have this 4 hour fair value gap here. We have this SMT here, and whenever I say SMT, it's just a divergence with GU. GU went down, EU went up here, and for this one, GU went up, but EU went down. So this was before the Tuesday trade. So we got that 4 hour fair value gap right there. We have a drawn liquidity right there. We have a bias on the 1 hour. We also have a fair value gap right there. We also have a 1 hour order block right here. So we got into that. We got into the order block. We got into the fair value gap. We got an SMT. So I was a bit more long bias, and I looked for a 5-minute entry, and I targeted that, and obviously it didn't work. And in hindsight, what could have happened was just the fact that we got this fair value gap situation over here, and with this closing below this. The reason why I continued is just because this low right here didn't push past this low. It was just a liquidity sweep. So even on the 1 hour, it was actually still sort of bullish price action. Like we didn't actually close below. We didn't actually get like a market structure shift. This was a weak low anyway, so it's normal to get a sort of liquidity sweep of this low because this high didn't push past this high. This closed as well. It just closed all the way above. So I was like, if we want to be bearish, or if I was to switch bias, it would probably have to like close below this body right here, or at least close below this low, right? But since it closed all the way up here and almost even respected this 1 hour fair value gap, I was just more bullish. Going down to the 5-minute, I then looked for a 5-minute entry, 5-minute fair value gap right here, as you guys can see, and I just entered there, stops below that 5-minute low and targeting that high. I don't think this is particularly breaking my rules Although when I look at it in hindsight, it does look like not the best price action, but it's probably just because I've already seen it go down. But I wouldn't say this is breaking my rules. We got a sweep of liquidity. We got, not that liquidity though, we got a sweep of liquidity here. We got higher time frame, we got higher time frame 4 hour that we were tapping into as well. We got a draw on liquidity, we got a dream model. So I wouldn't say that's breaking my rules, and part of that is just accepting it and just moving on. That's why I also wanted to make this video, because prior to that, that would kind of really bother me, but now I'm kind of like, it doesn't really matter because that's just how probability works. And it's probably also because we don't really have high impact news, so we don't really have clear directions this week or enough volume to even achieve that. Maybe the next one is just here. So we continue to push down lower, and this one maybe I should have turned bearish because we respected this 4 hour fair value gap. We did tap into this 4 hour order block right here, which is why we tapped into a 4 hour order block. On the 1 hour, instead of closing below this low as well, we just kind of swept it, as you guys can see with this candle right here, which is what really convinced me to go for that long. It's just the fact that we literally swept this candle instead of going below it, so we didn't even create like this break of structure of this low, which is why I ended up becoming bullish again, because we had that 4 hour and we have a 1 hour sweep. And so on the 5 minute, waited for a 5 minute fair value gap, and it was here. I don't know why it keeps shifting, but it was here. And we also got an SMT as well, like a lower time frame one, and we got a 5 minute there, and I just entered there, stops below, covering that fair value gap, targeting that high. In hindsight, that trade probably was a bit less. It is still according to my plan because it still has all the 4 criterias, but if we look at the market structure, it was definitely more bearish than this one. This one we were still kind of in bullish conditions, but this one you can see we have this fair value gap created there. So I guess that one was a bit more. This is one of the few weeks where I actually feel like I did pretty okay this week. I don't feel like I had this much to regret this week. I didn't take a trade on Monday, 2 losses on Tuesday, another 2 wins on yesterday, so it was a profitable week so far. Yeah, after focusing more on my psychology than my goals for the past 1 or 2 weeks has been helping a little bit. So this next big change that I'm about to do is I'm going to add funds to my account, my live account, and I'm going to add a few $1,000s, and I will update you guys on maybe the next month or the next few months on whether I'm profitable on that account. And the point is just to sort of be working on my psychology, because now that I've got my technicals down with the small account, it's time to work on the psychology. So this has always been the game plan, but the only sort of like I messed up kind of place was just I thought with the small account I can be working on my psychology as well because it is my money. I guess that didn't really work out. So this next part is going to be focusing more on my psychology, still going to be journaling on my trades, still going to be, you know, being on top of my technicals, but just going to be working harder on the psychology part, reading books, meditating, working more on myself, journaling and all that. And I'll update you guys, and you know, don't be surprised if my next few videos are going to be more psychology based, since that's more of what I'm working on. And now that I've solidified my strategy, there's no need to add anything much else to my strategy. If there is serious modifications that need to be made, I will make them down the road with proper testing. But I hope that this video was interesting to you guys, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.